Cocoon Spawn Girls, Chapter 40. After an hour of walking, we reached the base of the hill, which we were traveling to. It really was too small to be a mountain, yet it still poked right out above the trees when seen from afar. Just as it had been the entire journey through the forest, there wasn't a single sign of spawn activity. We were this close to a target apparently too fierce for Dr. Jill or Mare to be able to handle on their own. And yet the area it was hiding in seemed just as abandoned and quiet as any other. "We're looking for a cave opening," Clarice began. "So let's circle the hill until hopefully we see some sort of opening." I nodded in agreement, and off we went, walking around the hill in the middle of a spawn den. The hill itself was pretty grassy, with large rocks just sticking out of the ground all over it. Some areas were more rocky than others, making it only slightly more difficult to pass over them, balancing on rocks as we continued circling. I was hopping between a particular jagged rock section. Clarice had chosen to take a longer route around instead of jumping, when suddenly I slipped. My foot slid right across a mossy patch on the rock, my body going almost horizontal before I began tumbling down the hill, rolling. I tried to stop the motion of my roll, but was unable to stop as I tumbled right down to the base of the hill. Or I would have, if I hadn't suddenly dropped through the ground out of nowhere. "Sophia!" Clarice screeched as she watched me disappear into the ground. Turns out there was a cave opening covered by some overgrowth and vines. Just my luck, I would slip and accidentally fall right into what we were looking for. I came to a stop inside the opening of the cave. I really wasn't expecting the opening to almost be a vertical drop. I was certainly going to have some cuts and bruises from that fall, but thanks to Fool's Night, I was able to ignore that pain for now. "Sophia, are you okay?" Clarice called over as she lowered herself into the hole opening. I brushed myself off and gave her a thumbs up of wellness. She seemed really relieved as she looked me over, finding I wasn't too badly beaten. "Well, here we are, I guess." Clarice looked around. "See any spawn?" she asked, glancing around what we could make out. The cave kept going into the hills. Plenty of the cave was pitch black from where I was standing. "I would kill for Tiki to be here to give us some light." Clarice sighed. She was right. This would have been a pretty good job for her. "Do you have any other way to make light?" I wrote on my board, holding it up to her. "Sophia, I'm sorry, but I can't read that. It's too dark." Clarice sighed. "Great. So long as we are in this cave, we won't be able to communicate." I walked over towards the hole opening and jumped, grabbing onto a fistful of grass, ripping it downward as I landed. "Good idea! If we uncover the hole, maybe we can see better." Clarice clapped. The two of us proceeded to jump up and down, grabbing handfuls of vines and grass, until the entire hole was uncovered. After all that hard work, we turned around to take in our results, only to find it wasn't that much brighter. "Well, I really got nothing else for light," Clarice sighed. "I might as well try this." "Try what?" "Hey, Spawn!" Clarice screamed into the cave. The sound of her voice bounced off the walls and echoed deeper inside. We both watched for any signs of movement, but none came. We listened really closely for even the tiniest of sounds of movement, but I couldn't make out anything but the fading echo. "Well, what now?" Clarice pondered. "Have you considered there might be more than one cave?" King asked. Clarice twitched as she realized she hadn't considered that. "Well, of course. But surely they would all still be connected in some way. This hill really isn't near big enough for multiple systems to run through it." "Huh," King shrugged. We stood there in the hole opening as we considered what our next move should be. Maybe we could figure out some way to make a torch and then use it to guide our way deeper into the cave. The light pouring in from the hole seemed to darken. Was the sun setting already? "It's getting dark. Are we going to have to set up camp for the..." Clarice began before her eyes met with the opening. "Sophia!" I turned to see what she was looking at, my eyes meeting with something quickly filling in the hole which blocked out the light. "Back up, girls!" King commanded. "Just our luck," Clarice whined. Long, spider-like arms gripped onto the floor and ceiling of the cave as a giant spawn began lowering itself into the cave. There was no mistaking it. This had to be our target. After moving a bit deeper into the cave, I planted my feet into the dirt floor and activated Fool's Night fully, preparing my body for the fight. Clarice began to remove a fistful of marbles from her side pouch, readying her aim to toss one. The spawn lowered its full body into the hole, now towering over us as it moved towards us, deeper into its home. "Quickly, Clarice! Lock its leg zone!" King instructed. Clarice tossed marbles one after another, each locking in place besides a leg, locking it into place. I took that as my cue to go ahead and start punching. I launched off towards it as it stood there, confused by what was going on in its legs. I slammed my fist against its hard flesh, beneath a thin layer of mossy grassiness. My fist twisted against the flesh, rotating with the spin I put on it, causing the spawn to make a yelp-like sound in response. I leaped back again, ready to launch into another attack as my foot hits the ground. It was better to continually bounce back and forth, not leaving myself too close to get hit. We have all 4 of its legs locked in, but there's no telling what else it might have up its arsenal. I launched forward again, delivering another powerful jab against the body, continuing to deliver my attacks, then retreating to a safe distance to observe before the next blow. As I flew back, I could now see its head looking over its back towards us. Its eyes seemed to have a green glow to them as it watched in confusion. It reminded me of a turtle's head in shape, but the eyes were both facing forward rather than on the sides. I would have rather attacked the head directly, but it had lowered itself in the cave backwards for some reason. No issue. We can kill it fine from behind, just striking the stomach and chest. I slash another strike long ways across the softer part of its stomach. It moans again, making a noise that sounds like "roll." I slam my fist upward against its stomach above me. Its legs tremble as I deliver a flurry of punches. It moans, whatever that must mean. Is that what Dr. Geel meant by making word-like sounds? My punches slow as I think about what it could be trying to say. It coughs, as if something in its throat, but I haven't even gotten to punch there yet. I look up and see Clarice has thrown a marble by its head, which is now pulling its head upward into its gravity. Maybe that's why it was making that noise. It thrashes upward as it tries to break itself free from all the gravitational pulls, knocking hard against the cave ceiling. Small fragments of the ceiling come crashing down on both of us, and I duck under its body, allowing for it to take most of the damage as it continues to try and break free. Clarice barely has to back deeper into the cave to avoid anything. It gurgles, echoing into the cave. I run towards the head, taking advantage of the fact the head is stuck looking upward. I twist my body back and slam a right hook into its throat, then curl back as I thrust my left in after. The throat is so weak, it makes a lot of noises in pain. None of what comes out sounds like words to me, so I keep on beating fist over fist as blood quickly drips and then flows from its throat. Blood is covering me at this point. I'll have to take a nice long bath when I get back to the castle. I twist as I tear at the flesh of the throat. Maybe they even might have clothes I can take with me. I could really use a new look. I've been wearing these jumper skirts too many days in a row. I pull chunks of flesh out as I reach into the open throat inside. This job is as good as done now. Just gotta finish tearing the head off, and we'll be good. Warm air rushes up the throat and through the mouth. The sudden breeze makes me back up for a moment, worried if it's some kind of attack. The spawn begins to hum. I freeze up and stare as it begins to not only make noise, but hum a tune. Clarice seems to stop as well. Both of us standing still, listening as the spawn begins to hum a tune I just can't put my finger on. Neither of us make any sound as the spawn continues to choke out a song, as if to soothe itself. It hits a chorus, and Clarice snaps her fingers. Is that Iris? From the Goo Goo Dolls? What? Yes, I believe it is, actually, King agreed. Personally, I don't think I know that song. Clarice seemed to recognize I don't think I knew it. She began to sing along with the spawn's humming noises, matching up perfectly. And I don't want the world to see me, 'cause I don't think they'd understand. My face lit up as I realized I do know that song. I don't know where I've heard it before exactly, but the tone is unmistakable once you know what it is. How weird was that? A spawn singing a song from when I was little? Dr. Agil did say it was making jumbled noises from its memories, but this is a tad extreme, don't you think? I nod in agreement. This was really too weird. It was one thing that the spawn was so completely caught off guard by our attacks that it hadn't been able to land a single attack. But but now it's singing? Had it even been trying to attack us? The spawn's head choked as it was held firmly upward, the sound weakening and becoming unrecognizable as it lost more blood. Is it crying? Clarice pointed towards its eyes. Looking closer at the face on the other side of the body, it did look like it might be more than just blood dripping down to the ground. I tried to squint at the eyes facing us, trying to make out the teardrops from the blood it was coughing up. One more strike to the neck and the head should come off. We have time to stop and possibly on what is up with the spawn. King stroked his lack of a chin. Clarice came closer, looking closer over the beast. Well, it's certainly big, and it has some legs that could do some real damage if we hadn't caught them right away. Also, obviously it's capable of singing. But what else? King pondered. Why is it that Dr. Adil wanted it dead enough to ask us to do it? I really got nothing. It's just a smart spawn. I can't imagine what else there is to care about. Dr. Adil was a scientist from MGI. Maybe he knows something about it? I held up towards them. Clarice acknowledged I was holding something up, but didn't actually look at it. Sophia, you know we can't see what you've written in here. It's too... She was about to say dark, but then suddenly realized it wasn't anymore. Where's all this light coming from? She questioned. I hadn't noticed it had gotten any brighter, but now she mentioned it, I could see a lot deeper into the cave than before. We both looked past the spawn blocking most of the opening to see if we could see what the light source was, but the light pouring past it was blinding. Let's go take a look, Clarice, King instructed. Both of us passed under the spawn and climbed up the hole opening to look around. The forest looked the same as before, just trees, grass, and some rocks poking up from the soil. Look up, Sophia, Clarice instructed with a half-confused tone. I look upward as she told me to. My eyes lock on what shouldn't be there. Is that the moon? At this hour of day? It's so clear, too. Over us was the picturesque image of a blue sky with light clouds. The sun beat down brightly, but hanging not far from it was the moon, deep and clear. It was as clear as ever, like it was night, except it was very much not night. Something is really wrong, Sophia. Let's kill it quick. I don't see that being a bad move for us, in case it's the cause of this weird moon appearance. Could it be the cult of the moon? King pondered. That would mean Aurelia is sure to be close by. Aurelia, now we're talking. If this spawn has anything to do with her and her weird moon-loving group, then I want it dead even more. I hate to be the type to kill now, ask later, but what other choice do we have? I flatten my hand, raise it up to slash at the last bit of flesh holding this head on. I want to try and sever it all in one swift chop. I'm not sure I can do it, though. There's just so much neck to cut through on something this large. Still, no harm in giving it my best shot. I slash my sharpened hand downward, piercing through tender flesh and muscle. Blood shoots out at me once again. I'm already so covered, it won't make any difference in how soaked I am. I land on the back of this huge beast of a spawn, and I have to kneel down immediately to stay on top of the body as it comes crashing down to the ground. The head and body now disconnect, falling apart from one another. The head is pinned in the air by a marble, so the body loses the support, now crashing downward atop the below legs, which are each pinned to the ground. Blood drips from the hanging neck. The eyes begin to turn a whitish color as the signs of there ever being life drain from them. Clarice releases her marbles. The head immediately drops in front of me, lying on its side, mouth gaping on the ground. I rub any blood out from my eyes, wiping off the areas around them with whatever dryish parts of my clothes I've got. I can tell the blood is soaked all the way down to my bra. It feels sticky against me. I hate it. Nice work, Sophia! Clarice cheers as she high-fives me. King thinks about doing it as well, but I'm so blood-covered he chooses not to get himself dirty by touching me. Okay then, let's launch this firework and get ourselves a nice long bath, she chuckles. Well, for you maybe a shower to wash off all the blood, then you can climb into the bath with us. I make a chuckled expression without any sound included. I try to add on to the joke by trying to shake myself off like a dog would. Clarice bursts into a snorting laugh as she watches me do it. Let's go, Sophia. Clarice grins as she climbs out from the hole. I climb out behind her, my sticky blood-soaking clothes attracting grass to stick to it as I crawl up to my feet. Clarice pulls out the firework, stabbing it into the ground and beginning to tinker with the fuse. That's when we hear a screech that put us both on guard. I leap over to Clarice. She stands up and puts her back to mine as we look for the source of the girlish screech. "Dodge!" King screeches out of nowhere. So focused on the tree line and surroundings, neither of us had looked downward to see a portal opening up right in front of us. We leap forward into the air in opposite directions, watching as someone climbs out from the portal, screeching something. I landed and readied my stance to fight. Was this some sort of trap? This was Mare's portal, surely. We hadn't launched the firework yet. So what is going on? Then I recognized the figure who now stood upward over the portal. That orange hair, worn in those annoyingly puffy tails. Aurelia. My body was filling with rage as I wanted to immediately dart right at her and begin an onslaught of punches. I need to stay cool. Focus! I can't rush in. Aurelia seemed much less put together than last time we saw her. Before she seemed calm and collected. Now the girl before us looked disheveled and messy. Her eyes sharply locked onto Clarice, then me, and finally towards the cave where the dead spawn was. Unexpectedly, she took off running straight towards the cave, still screeching unintelligible babble. "Her attacks are all via commands to the moon. Don't let your guard down. We have to attack first," King instructed. Clarice nodded as she took off following Aurelia back into the cave. I follow after them both, leaping into the cave again, and standing beside Clarice as we both stare at a kneeling Aurelia on the ground. She had collapsed right in front of the severed spawn head, her hands shaking as she reached out towards it, still babbling more. Her hands fell short, stopping before reaching it, then dropped to her sides as her head fell backwards, staring upward as runny tears streamed across her cheeks. Then her head rolled to the side, her gaze now on both of us, and her lips parted to ask, "Did you do this?" Clarice let out an exhale before she screamed again. "Why him? Why? What did he do to... Why? He... No. She returned to muttering and unrecognizable noises. Clearly this had been something to do with why Dr. Aurelia wanted this spawn dead. Had we been set up? It felt heavy even breathing as we stood there over her. This demon I was so afraid of, now acting no different than an infant. End of chapter 40.